Hello friends, today we're going to be cutting open this Bosch 3323 premium oil filter. It has about 5,400 kilometers of use on it. Just for reference, this damage you see on the outside of the can is from using oil filter pliers to remove it. And one of the reasons we're cutting this filter open is because, as you can see here, there's a significant amount of metal specks in the oil pan, and I'm curious if this is getting trapped in the filter as well. We will start off by unboxing what is the cheapest oil filter cutting tool on Amazon. This was about $25 Canadian after tax shipped, and it includes a replacement cutting blade and an Allen key. The way it works is incredibly simple. It's similar to a pipe cutter. You use this knurled handle to advance the blade, and then you rotate the filter to cut it. These two holes here are in case you want to move the two bearings up so that this can accommodate smaller filters. You can see these are freely spinning bearings, and the blade itself also freely spins. Putting the oil filter onto the cutting tool, we can see a lot of oil comes out, so we're going to clean that up. And now we're going to advance the cutting blade till it makes contact with the oil filter. There's a lot of resistance in the handle here. So I flip the cutting tool over, and I realize that the slot that the blade rides in is not long enough for it to reach the oil filter. So what we have to do is we have to move those bearings to be in the closer holes to handle the smaller filter. Using this random IKEA Allen key and this adjustable wrench I found in a closet, we're going to move these bearings to the closer holes. Whatever you do, don't reassemble the parts in the wrong order like I did here. The bolt goes through the bottom, and then on top it's spacer, bearing, washer, then nut. And you'll see me in a second go back here and fix my handiwork. So it's spacer, bearing, washer, then nut. So I just undid the first one to reorder the parts: spacer, bearing, washer, then nut. Although I'm not sure if it really matters. Now we can begin dissecting our oil filter. Note that I adjust the pressure of the cutting blade based on the resistance of the oil filter. I want to be able to turn it fairly easily by hand. And then I make very, very small adjustments. Also note that since the can is flexible, without adjusting the blade, rotating the can multiple times still results in a deeper cut. Right here we can see our cut line begins leaking oil. It's important you pay attention to the sound the filter makes after it's been cut open. I believe the popping sound is because the filter is under pressure. The filter ended up retaining significantly more oil than I would have expected given its vertical orientation. Although it is equipped with an anti-drain back valve, I was expecting the majority of the oil to come out through the oil filter's outlet. Now that I've cleaned up, we'll start off by talking about the filter end cap. It's important to note that it's likely all components for this filter are stamped, as this is an incredibly cheap product. It's only about $4 or $5 Canadian. One of the things people like to obsess over is the number of threads that the filter has. My personal opinion, this does not matter, but this has about 3. The outer circle of holes is how dirty oil enters the filter. The reason the dirty oil enters from the outer side of the filter is because it will have a larger surface area of filter media to filter it, then goes through the filter media and then comes out that large center hole you see. Some people like to obsess over the number and size of holes that the oil filter has, and they think that it has better flow rate if it has more or larger holes, because more dirty oil will be able to enter the filter. But as you'll see later in the video, I don't think that matters. In my opinion, the most important part of this end cap is how difficult the O-ring is to remove, which we'll test here. If the O-ring is very easy to remove, then it's possible that the O-ring will be left behind when the oil filter is removed, and the next oil filter will be installed and it'll be double gasketed, and eventually that'll cause it to back out due to vibrations, and it'll result in a significant leak and a complete loss of oil. You can see here it's a rectangular shaped O-ring. And on this end cap there are these crimped bits that hold the O-ring in place, which I'm very happy about. The O-ring is very difficult to remove, and in a second here I'll reinstall it just to show you how well it's secured by these crimped edges. You can hear the very satisfying noise of the crimp holding the O-ring in place. Next, we'll look at the can. Notably, the oil filter pliers I used to help remove this only dented the can, they did not puncture it. Next, we're going to measure the thickness of the can at various places around its circumference. So over here it is 0.4 millimeters. That includes the paint and the sticker. Now, if we rotate the can, take a measure on the opposite side. Here it is 0.3 millimeters. I guess the thickness of the sticker really did make a difference. 0.3 millimeters, including the paint, is actually a lot thinner than I thought it would be. The mind boggles at how much pressure this has to handle. But in my opinion, the thickness of the can does not matter as long as it gets the job done. Next, we're going to take a look at this either silicone or rubber, I'm not sure it's made out of, anti-drain back valve. So it's likely this bright orangish red color so that you can see it from outside of the filter and confirm that this filter is equipped with an anti-drain back valve. It's very flexible. So this serves four purposes. If we bring back the end cap here, you can see it covers the inlet holes, and it acts as a one-way valve. So engine oil pressure when the engine is running will push this out of the way, allowing oil to enter the oil filter, but when the engine is off, this prevents oil from backflowing back into the oil pan. That has two purposes. One is to keep the filter and part of the engine full of oil so that when it's next started, it takes less time for the oil system to pressurize. And the other is that oil does not backflow through the filter, so that the dirt captured by the filter is not released into the engine and the oil pan. The other two purposes are the ring in the center of this holds the filter in place, and it seals the oil filter with the end cap so that the clean oil that's coming through the center of that filter is allowed back into the engine. Next, looking at the actual filter media, we can see at the other end of the filter is the bypass valve. Just a quick look at the filter media itself. That single metal piece you see is actually a crimped piece that adheres the two ends of the filter media together. The bypass valve is held in place with a single rivet in its center. Looking at the other side here, we can see the bypass valve is riveted to this flat spring, which has likely been stamped out. In theory, when the oil is very cold and thick or is super dirty and the filter media has clogged, the oil pressure will be able to push this down and bypass the filter altogether. What I find really interesting and a little bit concerning is that this bypass valve is able to be slid around, and this leads me to have two questions. One is, does this still seal when slid out of place? And two is, does this affect the pressure required for the bypass valve to open? On top of the bypass valve sits this stamped spring. This spring has a hole in the center to allow oil to reach the bypass valve. So in addition to making room for oil to be able to reach this bypass valve, This spring holds the filter media centered and applies positive pressure to the filter media to allow it to press against the gasket on the front of the filter, sealing it with the end cap. As you can see here, the filter has a lot more free play than I was expecting, but functionally this does not matter as the positive pressure applied from that spring behind the filter will press it against the gasket between it and the end cap, holding it in place. The end cap back in place, you can see there's a gap between the end cap and the housing, although it's a very small gap. This is because the can comes from the factory under pressure, so that spring can apply positive pressure, pushing the filter media against the gasket, against the end cap. Here's a close-up of what the bypass valve when slid off-center looks like. In theory, it comes from the factory centered and will remain centered due to fluid pressure, but out of sheer curiosity, we're going to test if it will remain sealed when off-center by adding water on top of this filter, seeing if it remains sealed. So as you can see, yes, it does remain sealed even when off-center. Now we'll add a bit more water and push down on the bypass valve to confirm that it is functional. While off-center was very difficult to operate, but now that I've centered it out, you can see with my thumb I just pushed down. It's quite difficult, a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. When the water does drain through. Although I probably could have drilled out the rivet, I did not want to do so as oil is flammable. I actually didn't think about whether or not the anti-drain back valve would fit through the other side, but we're going to use a pair of pliers and pull it through. This valve is much less sophisticated than I thought it would be. You can see a single rivet in the center. It spins relatively freely. I was expecting some sort of gasket material, maybe an O-ring on the back side, but no. This is just a metal on metal seal. So you can see here the filter plates appear to be very nicely glued in place. This is important because if dirty oil is able to push one of these pleats apart, then the pleat might unseal with the end caps and allow dirty oil to bypass the filter. See, all this piece of metal does is it's crimped to the ends of the filter, sealing them. Again, I'm very happy to see that the filter media is very difficult to remove. I'm not personally that concerned about getting all the filter media out in one piece, as I don't want to bother with measuring the surface area of the filter media. Using this hacksaw, we're going to cut it out. The filter media is much cleaner than I was expecting. I thought I would see large chunks of metal like what I see in the oil drain pan. Because the filter is under constant pressure, the end caps are not actually attached to that center core, so they can be pulled away. Here you can see I was pretty surprised to see that the filter media is not directly glued to the metal end caps. They're glued to this piece of plastic, and this piece of plastic is what's glued to that metal end cap. The purpose of this metal core is to prevent the filter media from caving in on itself and being sucked into the engine. This could happen if the oil is either very dirty or very thick and the filter media may be plugged up. The center core is actually much less open than I was expecting it to be. I thought it would have very large holes in it, but it's actually just some sort of stamped strip of metal that's been rolled up. There's significant portions of it that have no holes at all. You can't even see my finger through it. We're going to use this flashlight to get a better idea of how open the center core is. I'll put it on its brightest setting. See, the center core is not nearly as porous or open as I thought it would be, but then again it only has to allow filtered oil to pass through it. Bypassed oil comes in through the top, so it might not matter. The last thing for us to do is assess how well the filter media is glued to the other end cap, and then we'll take a quick look at the filter media itself and see if it has caught anything interesting. Overall, I'm very surprised to see no metal shavings in this, considering the significant amount of metal I saw in the oil drain pan. Thank you for watching. I try to read 100% of the comments people write, so if you leave a comment down below, there's a good chance you'll get a response from me.